All right, guys. Our next guest is one of the pound-for-pound best fighters in the world and is the UFC flyweight champion. He is set to fight John Dodson in an exciting rematch on September 5th at UFC 191 and is the one gamer you don't want to talk trash to on Xbox Live because he can back everything up and kick your ass in real life. Demetrious Johnson, welcome back to Submission Radio. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for having me back on. I appreciate it.
Oh, well, it's a pleasure. Now, before we talk fighting, Demetrious, we want to get your thoughts on a few things that are dear to you, and that's video games. We've been addicted to Batman Arkham Knight recently. Please tell us, have you played it? And if so, what does the flyweight champion make of it?
You know, unfortunately, I have not played that game, but I have played the previous one, you know, Batman Arkham Asylum and Batman Arkham City. Those games are phenomenal, so I'm pretty sure this one is just even better than those ones.
Yeah, if you want to do yourself a favor, definitely pick it up. You know, I'm just curious, you know, when you were younger, when we were younger, and by younger we mean last week, we'd stay up to ridiculous hours of the night playing video games and pretty much live off whatever food is laying around in the house before you became a high-profile fighter and got busy, you know, with all these media obligations. Were you ever that kind of gamer, and do you still stay up late into the night playing video games when you're not in training camp?
Absolutely. I even do it during training camp just because my son's crazy and he has to get to midnight, so... I try to find time to play games, obviously, at nighttime when the family's sleeping. But now that my son is getting older and he likes to stay up late watching Mickey Mouse, I try to sneak in a little gaming time whenever I get the chance to.
Yeah, I mean, what's up with your son taking away from your gaming time with this Mickey Mouse? It's just ridiculous.
Right.
We know you like first-person shooters like Call of Duty. Are you excited for the new Star Wars game? From what we've seen, it's like Battlefield, but Star Wars. And obviously, we've all seen the trailers. The graphics and the audio look to be pretty amazing.
The game was pretty dope. I'm actually more excited to watch the movie. And I remember playing Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, the MMO, online, and it was pretty good. So I'm hoping they really deliver on the Star Wars Battlefront.
Yeah, Star Wars Battlefront looks absolutely amazing. The audios are meant to be crazy as well. You know, fighters are always looking for ways to get their names out there and connect with fans more. I'm just curious, have you ever thought about doing like a regular segment, maybe on like your own YouTube channel that you make and doing game reviews or maybe gaming commentary? Because those guys get like millions of views. It'd be kind of like Don Fry's predictions, but it'd be you talking about video games.
Actually, I just started up my own Twitch channel.
Hey.
And I haven't been streaming that Twitch just because the game that I am playing right now is Final Fantasy and it's an MMO, so it's not as Twitch-friendly streaming, you know? Because usually when I'm streaming, the fans are trying to talk to me and they want to interact. And with that game, when I'm usually playing, I'm just focused and dialed in. So I'm waiting for Street Fighter 5 to come out. I'm going to start my streaming there on PS4, and I'll be interacting with fans because, you know, I can fight 2 rounds, take a round off, or choose the next, you know, get my next opponent lined up, and then start talking when I do that.
It's interesting they mentioned PS4 because we've sort of structured the interview to make sure anything we talk about video games is sort of Xbox related. Obviously, you know, Xbox were one of your biggest sponsors. What's going on now? Now that, you know, you guys aren't as close, are you switching to PS4?
I'm so close to the guy. Actually, he sent me a message today saying happy birthday, and you know, obviously that time has passed. You know, obviously I'm a fan of Xbox One and PS4. I'm just waiting for, right now the only reason I play PS4 is because they only have the game on there that I like to play, which is Final Fantasy, and it's cross-platform. So if a person's playing on PC, I can also play on PS4. So whereas Xbox One, they didn't want to make that bridge connection between cross-platforms with those guys. So, and I also like streaming on Twitch. I like streaming on my PS4 better because it's only like 2 buttons I have to press, and I'm good to go. To whereas when I tried to set up Xbox One, it was a little more difficult. So, I mean, I still love both systems, but right now, you know, PS4 has my attention, and I'm just enjoy playing that.
Let me ask you something, because it's a debate for the ages. Everybody has their favorite system of all time. Me personally, people know I'm a Nintendo 64 man.
Yeah.
How about yourself, Demetrious? What's the one that sticks to your heart the most?
Oh, man, I would say either Dreamcast or Super Nintendo.
Dreamcast?
Dreamcast. Yes, Dreamcast was one
no
of
one
those
even
first
had those
systems
things
where...
back in the day.
You're like the only guy.
I had one, and a lot of my friends had it too, but those were that system came out with a lot of arcade games, you know, that had Marvel vs. Capcom on it. It had Spawn. I can't remember the Spawn fighting game. It was Spawn Armageddon. It had Fantasy Star Online. It had Power Stone, where you never see a game like that ever again. So it had a lot of unique games on there. That's one of the things I loved about it. And it's Super Nintendo. I mean, it had Mario World, Mega Man X series. It had a lot of good stuff on there.
Hey, Dreamcast came out at like a weird time. It was in between other consoles. Some say it sort of peaked too early. Had this Mortal Kombat game, I think Mortal Kombat Gold, that never came out or anything else. I want to talk to you about something, Demetrious, because while we're talking about fan interaction, connecting with fans and the public, we read something. We read that UFC Vice President PR Dave Sholler had a conversation with you and advised you not to filter yourself and to just speak the way you do in real life. Can you tell us about that? What was that conversation like, and what did he tell you?
Basically, me and Dave Sholler sat down, and he was like, dude, each time I hear you do interviews, you self-edit yourself. Like, I know who you are as a person, and I just feel like you're hindering yourself. And so when he told me that, then I was just like, okay, well, I'll just start talking like the way I usually do when I'm at home in front of everybody. And so with that being said, it wasn't like, a negative conversation we had back and forth, or him just he's basically just trying to help guide me. And that's what most of the guys who work in the UFC PR office do. I mean, I've been knowing Dave Sholler since WEC days, and I've come a long way in my career. And now he's just trying to help me, blossom to a beautiful flower, I guess you can say.
Oh, well, you're a beautiful flower already, Demetrious. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Just wondering, did you feel like you were restricted at any point to sort of have to be a bit more political when you were champion? Did you sort of think that that's what sort of the UFC was looking for you? Were you a little bit afraid to sort of voice your opinion before?
I don't want to say that. I don't want to say I was never scared to voice my opinion. I just wanted to make a good example, I guess you can say. And I believe even when I'm being more outspoken about things, I still believe I am making a good example for younger athletes and also future athletes. But as for me, like I said, I think it was just Dave Sholler trying to help me just grow up and be more confident when I speak, when I do my interviews.
You've been one of the most gentlemanliest gentlemen we've ever seen do interviews. There's not one way we can think, well, like, Demetrious came off really bad or anything. Now that you've got the green light to pretty much unedit yourself, how does that feel? We imagine it's like James Bond when he got his license to kill. You can just, drop F-bombs. This is the new and improved, F-bomb dropping Demetrious Johnson, right?
That's right. You hit it right on the dot, my friend. Just saying whatever, and they ain't got to worry about nothing, and it's a good thing, like when you hear from the higher up, basically from Dave Sholler, who's like basically the head man in charge when it comes to PR and the UFC. Then it just makes you feel a little bit better that you're not going to say anything. And you still have to watch out. I mean, I can't just go out there and say a whole bunch of other stuff, but I say what's on my mind, and people either love it or hate it.
And just because, sorry, Dennis, just because Dave Sholler, you pretty much have permission to start brawls at Wayne's now and stare downs.
Exactly.
Now let's quickly go back to the video game world. Does this ever carry over into the video game world for you? You've mentioned that you never really talk trash while playing games because you're too focused. You are a focused man, and we've seen that in your fighting. But have you ever had any situations online where you've had some interesting conversations with fans, or haven't been able to keep your politeness as much as you have during your sort of UFC interviews?
I haven't, but my friends, I've been in the chat room with those guys, and they've been going off on other players, and I just sit there and laugh just because they're hella pissed off about it. And they're just like, hey, man, fuck you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just sitting there laughing, and they're like, dude, how old are you? Then then you think it's a kid who's talking back, then it turns out to be a grown-ass man. He goes, man, this game sucks, and I'm just whooping you guys' butt. So I never get into any back-and-forth banter between each other. I just let those guys do it.
Are your friends called Matt Hume?
No, Matt doesn't do that.
You can imagine Matt playing Call of Duty like, fuck you, man.
Yeah, I doubt Matt would do that just because, his kids like to hear him play and watch him play, and Matt would not go that far because then his kids would be sleeping downstairs, and the next thing you know, he hears his kids saying exactly what he was saying.
Yeah, no, Matt's a stand-up guy. Let's talk about the big fight itself. It's less than a month away. How's training going so far, and is everything on track for September 5th?
Yeah, training's going good. Everything's on track for September 5th. We're feeling good, and, I mean, if we have to fight tomorrow, I'll be able to make the weight, go out there and perform very well. Now, we just have 3 weeks left, so now it's just about fine-tuning everything, make sure I stay healthy, and going out there and executing. That's it.
Well, you've mentioned to us that you're a very busy man these days, obviously a father as well, amongst other things, being a UFC champion, of course. Take us into a typical day for you. What does a typical day for Mighty Mass look like?
Oh, man, I'll tell you what. One, it's kids and, life itself and training. So, typically, the days, I wake up in the morning, head to the gym around 10 o'clock, and I start my strength and conditioning at 11 o'clock. and then I usually get done about 1:30, and I go out and eat lunch at the same place, Teriyaki Madness, and after that I go back to the gym and just relax. And lately I've been playing video games just because I'm trying to kill time between training sessions. And then next session starts at 5 o'clock. We'll go in there, hit pads, maybe watch a little video, drill some technique, and then drive on home and have dinner with the family and, take care of their kids, put them to bed, and go to bed and wake up dirty all over again. So just normal day in the life of Demetrious Johnson. Just trying to make a living.
It never stops. It's training, kids, teriyaki madness. It's non-stop. You're obviously facing John Dodson in a rematch from your original fight in 2013. Now, not only have you never lost a rematch, but you generally dominate your opponents even more the second time. The second fight against Ian McCall was more decisive, and the second time you fought Joseph Benavidez, you brutally knocked him out. Do you think you'll continue the trend against John Dodson and beat him even more decisively the second time?
That's the goal. I mean, we're training extremely hard. When I'm hitting pads, when I'm sparring, I'm pushing myself. I'm not doing it, nice and relaxed and calm and being comfortable. A lot of people get a little misunderstood about what's it called to have good cardio. And good cardio is when you're able to push the distance, push the rounds, push the fight. And I've shown that in all my previous fights where when I go out there, even on the champion, like GSP said, you had to come out there and take the belt. I don't give my opponents a chance to take the belt. I go out there and I take away their opportunity to take my belt away from me. So that's what I'm looking to do September 5th.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, John Dodson has said that cardio was his biggest issue when the two of you fought originally. Do you think that's true? Do you think that a John Dodson with a bigger gas tank would give you any problems?
That's where I think a lot of people are blinded, and I think he's blinded as well. If he thought that my cardio was the biggest thing that was his downfall in that fight, he should go back and rewatch it.
In saying that, he's one of the only guys that's given you any trouble at flyweight, and he had success early in the fight when the two of you fought. What do you make of that? And would you say that he's your toughest test to date?
Yeah, I'll say it was a tough fight. I don't want to say it's the toughest fight to date. It's a fight. You're going to get hit. You're going to get dropped. You just got to make adjustments to go out there and take it to him. And granted, the first fight we had with him, it was the very first time I ever fought a southpaw who was fast and explosive. Actually, Joseph Benavidez is southpaw, but Joseph switches back and forth. But on the John Dodson, it was the first time I first saw the defense. So with that being said, there's a lot of stuff I had to get used to. But once I was able to get in the fight, make adjustments, once he got tired and stopped running, then I was able to get my hands on him and basically impose my will on him.
I mean, not that many people were impressed with this performance against Zach Makovsky. It was a bit underwhelming, and he was coming back from a second ACL surgery, so there was a lot of factors pointing to that, some ring rust as well. What did you think of that performance? Any conclusions that you could take away from it?
It's really hard just because, like you said, he was coming off that first, his ACL surgery, and he was getting to fight a teammate. So I thought the fight couldn't go either way to Zach Makovsky. I thought Zach Makovsky looked better. I felt like his right hand found the mark a little better. But when I go back and watch the fight, I can see how the judges kind of gave to Dodson. So it wasn't, a very exciting fight, but it was a great fight, and it's hard to come off a layoff like that.
Well, what do you make of John Dodson's confidence leading up to this fight? Because it seems like he's talking about your fight as if it's a foregone conclusion that he'll win, and already talking about fighting Bantamweight champion TJ Dillashaw for the belt after you guys fight.
Doesn't bother me one bit. It has nothing to do with me when it comes to my training, the way I think about the fight, how I'm approaching the fight. He can say whatever he wants, talk about whatever he wants, think very high of himself. It does absolutely nothing for me.
Yeah, well, here's your chance to use your James Bond license to kill. Because recently he said, and I quote, DJ has been a plague in our division, keeping us from stardom. I mean, shots fired, man. What do you respond to something like that with?
Nothing at all. Like I said, that's his opinion. And obviously, if I was a plague in the division, I wouldn't have way more Twitter followers than he does, Instagram followers. I wouldn't have been selected to be in the UFC flyweight tournament. So I think when he just says that stuff, it's just him just trying to, ruffle my feathers. And guys, really, it does not bother me one bit.
Well, it's interesting. He's the one sort of talking about moving up in weight, but if you continue to defeat challenges at this rate, you may very well clean out the division. If that happens, how likely is it that you think we'd see you move back up to bantamweight, even if only to have a crack at TJ Dillashaw in a superfight?
For me, I'm focused on getting the most title defenses in the UFC, for men, and right now I'm at 6, and I got 4 more to go to even hit that mark. So I got 5 more to go just to break that record, and that's my goal right now. Once I beat that and I beat that record and my name's in there, then I'll be more opted to move up to bantamweight. Right now I'm just trying to write my name as many times as I can in the history book.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, that history book is going to run out of pages soon, Demetrious. So you're going to have to be careful.
Yeah.
You told TJ Dillashaw when you ran into him earlier in the year that you'd fight him, and that you told everybody you'd do it for $2 million. Everybody had a good laugh and a bit of a smile. But just wondering, did you actually discuss it with Dana White? Is that the price that possibly will cost to see Demetrious Johnson versus TJ Dillashaw?
Yeah, I mean, me and TJ, we're cool. Like, there's no animosity between each other at all. Me and him always hang out with each other each time we have UFC gigs together, and we get along very, very well with each other. And, I told the UFC, I told Dana White that straight up. And then, me and him had some laughs back and forth. And, last time I was in Vegas, I told those guys, I was like, so, if I get past this one, what's going to happen? He goes, I don't know, maybe go do what TJ does. And I was like, well, you guys don't remember, so holler at me if you guys want to make it happen.
Wait, this is a conversation you had with Dana White. This is what you said to him, right?
Yeah, Dana White and Lorenzo Fertitta.
And Lorenzo. And that's at that point you said, well, $2 million is the price, right?
Yep.
Why? I'm curious, why so much to move up? And would you do it for less?
For me, I'm just trying to make, fighters have a short opportunity to make as much money as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to be the biggest fight of my life. This is going to be the biggest, probably,
poverty killer?
thing in my career. Well, I don't want to say that. I just want to say it's the biggest thing in my career that I've ever done. And I think, obviously, when I am going up in weight and I'm, I don't want to, since I haven't been defeated since I fought Dominic Cruz, and me going up to fight TJ Dillashaw, there's a potential chance I would lose that fight. So I'm trying to cash out and make some money on this super fight because I know the UFC would do very good numbers with it, and it will also, it'll be a sold out crowd.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Too bad Conor McGregor can't get down to a lighter weight because that would be a super fight I'd love to see. But before we let you go, champ, we just want to get a prediction from you. How's the fight going to go, and how are you officially beating John Dodson on September 5th at UFC 191? Take us into the future. Let us know how it's going to happen.
You know what? I've never looked into the future. I have never done it since I was an amateur, and I won't start doing it now. But the training's going good. I'm feeling good. Just right now, just fine-tuning everything, and can't wait to go out there and put on a great show.
Well, we can't wait to watch it, guys. It's going to be September 5th, UFC 191, John Dodson versus Demetrious Johnson. Don't forget to follow Demetrious Johnson on Twitter at MightyMouseUFC. And Demetrious, it's always a pleasure having you on the show. Thanks so much for coming on.
Hey, guys. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you guys having me back on.